You're moving to Boise, Idaho, but there's mistakes that can be made when moving here. They can happen in preparation or they can happen once you get here. So let's discuss some of those mistakes so that you can be prepared when moving here and you can be happy now and a year into moving to the Treasure Valley. The first mistake that I want to talk about is that people do not make a trip here first. At the very minimum, coming here for a weekend and having a local, like a realtor or even somebody that you may not know or just a family member here to show you around the area, get to know you and see what is going to fit your lifestyle and your family. At the other end of this is people don't rent here for a short amount of time. They want to move here and buy a home. And by all means, that's a really good decision, of course. But sometimes if you are worried about whether it's the weather in Boise or whether it's the environment, the city life, the schooling, you want to rent here for an extended period of time, whether that's just for the winter or even a full year, to ensure that you really do like Boise, because people do purchase homes here. And then a year later, they decide that they want to leave, whether that's go back to where they came from or decide on another location that they were looking at, like a Florida or Tennessee or a Texas. So really knowing that you are for sure about moving here before buying and at least having that weekend trip with a local is really important, and that's a big mistake I see people make. Now, as I said, I am a local realtor in Boise, so if you have any questions, shoot me a text, shoot me a call any time of the day, any day of the week. I really would be honored to hear from you, and I'd love to get to know you and see what your journey is like and get to know your family. And if you are less comfortable with giving me a text or a call, there is a link in the description to book a call with me where I'll give you a call at your convenience. But let's get back into the video and see some of the other mistakes to avoid when moving to the Treasure Valley. Now, another smaller mistake that I see people make is that they go out and they buy a four-wheel drive vehicle. They hear that the winters in Boise are horrible, there's snow everywhere and the driving conditions are bad. But I don't necessarily think that this is something that is required, and going out and spending $20,000 or $60,000 on a new four-wheel drive vehicle is definitely not a necessity. You are perfectly fine getting snow tires on your all-wheel drive vehicle that you come here with, because the Boise area doesn't get that much snow on average. There have, of course, been years where we do get a ton of snow and it can be bad conditions for a week or 2 weeks at a time. But on average, we really only get a few days a year where your driving conditions are actually impacted from your day-to-day life. There's times where if you want to travel in the Boise area, a four-wheel drive vehicle can be helpful. If you want to go up to McCall, you want to drive down to Salt Lake, or you want to take a trip up into the other mountains or south of Boise. But as a whole, a mistake that people make is going out and spending a whole bunch of money and risking losing their home or their loan, not getting approved for their loan. So it's not a necessity. By all means, if you do have the ability to go out and buy a four-wheel drive vehicle and you want to do that, you can. But I do think that is a small mistake that some people make. Now, talking about land, people think that you can come to Boise or just come to Idaho in general and find a bunch of land for cheap. Now, at one point that used to be true, maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago even, but we're at the point now where so many people have moved here and the housing and just the land value has gone up so much that you really are not going to find a livable home for under $500,000. I would realistically say that if you want an acre plus, you're going to want to start looking at a $600,000 mark. Now, a lot of the land in the Treasure Valley is going to be on the outskirts. That's going to be your South Meridian, out towards Kuna, out towards Nampa, so just out on the outskirts around Lake Lowell, and then Star and Middleton are a popular place if you want acreage, because there is a lot more land access out there that's still a little bit closer to the cities of Middleton and Star. Eagle is another place that there is land, again on the outskirts of the city itself. And Boise does have some options in the south end of Boise, which is really considered South Meridian. There's some land options out there. When you get on the inner city towards the Treasure Valley and you do want an acre plus, you're going to be having to purchase in neighborhoods and places where your home values are going to be $800,000 to $1 million plus. And that land is going to be more expensive in the Eagle area. You're pretty much always looking at $1 million plus for multiple acres in the city of Eagle. Middleton, Star, some of the inner cities, some of those cities, if you want to be close to the city in a neighborhood, an established neighborhood, on an acre, again, you're going to be having a little bit higher price point. Some of those $600,000 to $700,000 homes on land are in that South Meridian area, or they're farther out of the city, so you have more of a drive. The other popular destination right now that is growing really fast is Emmett, Idaho, which is about an hour drive into Boise, and that's growing rapidly. There is a lot of land options out there, and it is a little bit more affordable, but you are still looking at that $600,000 mark for an acre plus. Along the same lines is housing affordability. It's the same story as at one point Boise did used to be a lot more affordable than it is now, but because of the growth and a lot of people like you moving here, the housing affordability has gone down. So houses are a lot more expensive than they used to be. You're not going to find a home for under $300,000 here that's livable. Sometimes you will, but you're going to be living in less desirable places like maybe downtown Nampa or downtown Caldwell, which most people are not fans of living there, especially if this is your second, third home. You're not going to want to live in a 700 or 1,000 square foot home in the downtown Nampa or Caldwell areas, or even in the Boise area. You can find some homes for under 300,000, but again, it's that same situation. They're going to need some remodeling. It's going to be in a less desirable location. The one caveat to this is that most of you who are moving to Boise are coming from places like LA, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, DC, and so those places, their home values are so much more that you are still getting a lot more affordable homes and a lot more bang for your buck when moving here. With that, the average house that I'd say most people are going to be looking at is that 400, 450 to 600, 650 mark. That's where a lot of the traditional style 3-2, 4-bedroom homes are going to be sitting at in some of the neighborhoods in most all of the cities in the valley. So other than maybe Portland, I know Portland is pretty similar when it comes to home prices, but a lot of the cities that you guys are moving from, it is going to be more affordable, just not like it used to be where you could come here and get those typical homes for $200,000 to $300,000. Another mistake is that people just assume that a resale home, so a home that's somebody else has lived in, is going to be cheaper than a new construction, especially right now with how high the interest rates are and just some of the economical environments going on. New construction is an awesome opportunity here in the Treasure Valley because not only are some of them actually a lot cheaper, you can build a brand new home for $330,000, just your typical 3-2, but they're offering a lot of incentives. So there's a lot of builders, Toll Brothers, CBH, Hayden, a lot of these builders are offering $20,000 to $30,000 incentives, meaning you can use that during closing costs or you can take it off the purchase price. And with that, it allows you to drop your interest rate and help you afford a bigger or a nicer home. And so that's a little bit of an overlooked thing for some people, is that you think you have to buy a resale home, but new construction here in the valley is a really awesome opportunity. Even if you are on the higher price points in that $600,000 to $1 million mark, sometimes you can build a new home for the same price or even cheaper with some of those incentives built in than just purchasing a resale home in an already established neighborhood. A few other mistakes that people run into moving here is that they assume the politics are bad, either one extreme or the other. They think that so many people moving here from California or Seattle or other liberal states are making the Valley of Boise liberal. And even though the Boise city itself has become more democratic, most of the environment in the valley is still a conservative place to live, especially if you go into Star, Middleton, Kuna. There's still a lot of conservative values in the valley. So if you are leaving a state, and that's one of your reasons why, is you want to get to a more conservative place because of your beliefs, Idaho and just Boise, the valley itself, does still have those beliefs. You're not going to be running into a ton of issues there. Now, I have noticed that it has shifted a little bit as more and more people move here, but again, that is more in the Boise area, near downtown area itself. So you're not going to run into too many other issues. The other few little mistakes I see when people are moving here is that you may quit your job before you move here and risk not getting approved for your loan. So if you do have a job and you're moving jobs and you want to get a job in Boise, do not quit your job until you have purchased and closed on your home in the valley. So those are some of just the few mistakes that I see and people see when moving here. And you want to just ensure that you are prepared when moving here and you know what to expect and you're doing some of those things prior to moving here. But you also want to make sure that you move here and a year into living in the valley, you are still happy and you are enjoying Boise. So make sure you watch out for those. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a text. I look forward to getting to know you. I'll throw some videos up here on some more things about the Treasure Valley, but thank you guys for watching.